I used to think my marriage was safe, unshakable, until 3 weeks ago when I woke up at 3:14 a.m. and heard my wife whispering in the kitchen. Not on a call, not scrolling TikTok, whispering. The tone hit me first. That soft, breathless tone you only hear when someone is talking to a lover. I didn't move. I just listened from the hallway. She said, "I can't wait. He has no idea." My heart froze, but when I stepped into the room, she jumped, killed the phone screen, and smiled like nothing happened. She told me she was just talking to her sister, and her voice was so calm, so steady that for a moment I doubted my own senses. The next day, the red flags multiplied. She suddenly started guarding her phone like it contained state secrets, walking into another room to answer calls, changing her passcode twice in 24 hours, acting irritated every time I asked a simple question. I kept telling myself I was paranoid until the night she left the house dressed like she was going on a date and claimed she was meeting coworkers for a boring strategy meeting. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Not pain, not anger, pure, razor-sharp suspicion. Because as she walked away, laughing at a message on her phone, she called someone baby, and she wasn't talking to me.
After that night, I started paying attention to everything. Her perfume changed, stronger, sweeter, the kind meant to be remembered. She started going to the gym, even though she always hated it, claiming she suddenly cared about health. Yet she would come back without breaking a sweat and smelling like a hotel lobby instead of a treadmill. She started dressing differently too, choosing outfits she never wore around me. Low-cut tops, short skirts, and expensive lingerie I never saw her buy. Every time I asked where she was going or who she was texting, she snapped that I was insecure and controlling, then stormed off like I'd insulted her. Our intimacy evaporated overnight. She flinched when I touched her and laughed at my jokes like they were coming from a stranger. But the worst was her sudden generosity. She bought me new headphones, told me to go out with my friends more, encouraged me to enjoy time away. It was fake kindness, the kind you give someone you're trying to distract. And then came the first real punch to the gut. I checked the car mileage before she left for yoga, and when she came home, the odometer showed 74 extra kilometers, nowhere near a gym. I asked her where exactly this class was held. She stared straight into my eyes, smirked, and said, "If you trusted me, you wouldn't need to ask." She turned away, and I realized she wasn't scared of getting caught. She was confident I wouldn't catch her, but she underestimated how far I was willing to go. I waited for the perfect moment. The next evening, she took a call on the balcony, doing that low giggle again, the one she never used with me anymore, and left her phone on the kitchen counter, screen face down, assuming I wouldn't dare touch it, but I did. I didn't have the passcode yet. My hand shook as I picked it up, and the screen lit up from the motion. A notification preview appeared before the lock engaged. One line, one sentence, from a name I didn't recognize. "I'm counting the hours until you're back in my arms." My stomach dropped. My heart pounded so loud I couldn't hear the street outside. Before I could read it again, she stepped inside and snatched the phone from my hand, eyes full of venom. No panic, no guilt, venom. She whispered, "Don't you ever touch my phone again," like she owned the house, the marriage, and the truth. And then she did something that confirmed everything. She deleted the message right in front of me, keeping the screen angled just enough that I couldn't see anything else. No explanation, no pretending, just a cold, taunting smile. When I asked who sent it, she shrugged and said, "If you're gonna make up lies in your head, fine. I won't waste energy defending myself." Then she walked to the bedroom like nothing happened, leaving me standing there with my world collapsing. But I wasn't broken, not yet. That message was proof, and if she thought she could bury it, she didn't understand that I had just begun digging. The next few days were psychological warfare. She became sweeter, affectionate even, like she could sense I was getting closer to the truth and wanted to blur the lines in my head. Every time I tried to talk about the balcony message, she acted like I was mentally unstable. "You're obsessed with fantasies," she'd say, stroking my arm like she was comforting a child. "Maybe you should talk to someone." She told our friends I was going through a paranoid phase, creating the alibi before I could even speak. She started leaving her phone out in sight, screen clear of notifications, like she wanted me to feel crazy for suspecting anything. And when she caught me watching her too closely, she didn't defend herself. She laughed. "It must be exhausting living in that little conspiracy world of yours," she said, while pouring herself wine. The more I pushed for answers, the more she twisted everything back onto me, claiming our lack of intimacy was because I was emotionally distant, that her new clothes were for confidence, and that the perfume was a gift from a coworker. She said things that cut deep, that I was boring, insecure, predictable. She made me question my own memories, my own instincts, until I wasn't sure what was real anymore. But then she went
went too far. She told me she'd be staying late at work for a teen dinner and kissed my cheek before leaving. The first kiss in weeks. The kiss was meant to be a distraction, but instead, it clarified everything. People don't need to manipulate unless they're hiding something. So I waited 10 minutes after she left, and then I followed her. I tracked her car from a distance, staying far enough back that she wouldn't notice, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. She didn't drive toward her office, or any restaurant, or even the city. She went the opposite direction, toward a district full of hotels and apartment rentals. She pulled into the parking lot of a boutique hotel, the kind meant for secrecy, not vacations, and got out of the car with a smile that didn't belong to the woman I married. I watched from behind a tinted SUV as she walked to the entrance and checked her reflection in the glass doors, adjusting her hair like she wanted to look perfect for some. Moments later, a man stepped out of the lobby, tall, confident, with that casual ease of someone who knows he's being waited for. She ran into his arms. Their kiss wasn't rushed or frantic. It was practiced, familiar. My vision blurred so hard I thought I might pass out, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. I grabbed my phone and snapped a picture, my hands trembling, freezing the moment of betrayal forever. Then I watched them walk inside together, hand in hand, while she thought I was at home, clueless, trusting, waiting. I sat in the car for 10 full minutes, shaking with rage and disbelief, until a horrifying realization hit me. The hotel was only 40 minutes from home. That meant this wasn't new. This wasn't an accident, a mistake, a sudden crush. This was a second life she'd built, while sharing dinner with me every night and pretending nothing was wrong. And as I stared at the hotel entrance, another thought hit me, one that made my blood run cold. If she was lying about this, what else had she been hiding?
I didn't sleep that night. I waited for her to come home, sitting at the dining table in the dark with the picture of her and that man open on my phone. When the door finally clicked at 2:17 a.m., she walked in humming, not sneaking, not guilty, humming. She didn't see me at first, and when she finally did, she froze for a split second, then switched instantly into performance mode, smiling like she had just finished the best night of her life. "You're awake?" she asked, pretending surprise, pretending innocence. I didn't say a word. I just turned my phone toward her so she could see the photo. Her smile didn't collapse. It sharpened. She didn't gasp or cry or deny. She just narrowed her eyes and whispered, "So you followed me." That was it. No apology, no explanation. Like I was the one who crossed a line. I told her I knew everything. The hotel, the messages, the lies, and her face stayed blank, almost bored. She poured herself water, sat across from me, and said calmly, "You were never supposed to find out. Not because I care about your feelings, but because you can't handle reality." She said she wasn't in love with me anymore, and that she deserved excitement, that I should feel lucky she stayed as long as she did. Then, like a knife to the throat, she added, "If you were enough, I wouldn't need him." Every word was calculated to destroy, every sentence designed to make me bleed. When I demanded she end it, she laughed. Not a nervous laugh, a victorious one. "End it? He's not some fling," she said. "He's my future." She stood up, grabbed her overnight bag, and headed toward the door like she'd been waiting for this moment. And then she turned back with a smirk I'll never forget and said, "I was going to leave next month anyway." The world tilted, the air disappeared, but as she walked out, suitcase rolling behind her, she had no idea what I had already done before she got home. Something that changed everything. Right before she walked through that door for what she thought was the final time, I told her to wait. Not begging, not pleading, just calm, control. I told her I already sent the hotel photo and screenshots of her late night message notifications to her family group chat, her closest friends, and her boss. Her entire double life detonated with one message. For the first time that night, the mask cracked. Her pupils blew wide with panic. She lunged for my phone, screaming that I had no right, calling pathetic, stable, threatened. She tried to spin it, to say the picture was edited, that the texts were out of context, but she knew the damage was irreversible. Her phone lit up with incoming calls. Mom, sister, HR director, and with every vibration, she looked smaller and smaller. She couldn't go to him now without explaining why her world was collapsing, but she couldn't stay here either. She was cornered. She started crying, not the kind you cry when you're hurt, but the kind you cry when you're exposed. She begged me to tell everyone it was a misunderstanding, promised she would fix everything, swore she would choose me. Every sentence was desperation, not love, and I didn't say a word. I just opened the front door and pointed outside. No shouting, no chaos, just consequence. She packed the rest of her things in silence, while I watched her like a stranger I never truly knew. When she finally left the house, the quiet that followed was unreal, like silence after an explosion, when the world is still deciding what comes next. But when I went upstairs to breathe alone, I noticed something
something she left behind, something I never expected. On the bedroom dresser sat a folded envelope with my name written on it in her handwriting. For a second, I thought it might be some last attempt to apologize, maybe even closure. When I opened it, it wasn't a letter inside, just a legal doc, a signed lease agreement for an apartment dated 6 months ago with her signature and his. He'd been planning their new life long before the late night whispers, long before the mysterious perfume, long before she ever started treating me like I was the problem. I wasn't losing her in the last few weeks. I had lost her long before, and she had stayed only to secure every detail of her escape. The weight of that realization hurt more than the cheating itself. I sat at the edge of the bed and let myself feel every heartbreak, the betrayal, the humiliation, the disbelief. But underneath the pain, something stronger rose up, relief. For the first time in months, I didn't feel confused or paranoid or inadequate. I could finally understand that nothing I did would have changed her decision. It was never about me not being enough. It was about her always wanting more. I blocked her number. I called a lawyer. I sent every document she left behind to protect myself, ensuring she could never twist the story again. And when I lay in bed that night, in a house full of memories that suddenly felt like someone else's life, I told myself the truth out loud. I didn't lose a wife. She lost a good man. And that was the first moment, after all the lies, all the gaslighting, all the chaos, that I finally felt free.